Honduras, the National Electoral Council provided the preliminary results for the general elections with only 34.25% of the votes counted, showing that Nasri Asfura, the candidate from right-wing National Party, is leading the polls. In St. Lucia, over 179,000 citizens prepared to vote in the general elections to be held this Monday, December 1st. And Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov asserted that Europe has removed itself from the negotiations regarding the Ukrainian conflict. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The preliminary results from the National Electoral Council of the general elections in Honduras will show an advantage for right-wing candidate Nasri Asfura from the National Party, confirmed the claim by the Libre Party that they are not reliable after only counting 34.25% of the votes. These Sunday elections have been marked by foreign intervention by US President Donald Trump, who days before the elections publicly endorsed right-wing presidential candidate Nasri Asfura. For its part, the ruling party stated they anticipated irregularities in the election process when current President Xiomara Castro and presidential candidate Rixi Moncada denounced the hacking of the preliminary results election results transmission system. According to statements from Electoral Council President Ana Paula Hall, the preliminary results of the presidential election for the 2026-2030 term are given after counting 34.25% of the votes. The polls are led by Nasri Asfura, the candidate from the right-wing National Party, with 530,073 votes, followed by Salvador Nasrallah from the right-wing Liberal Party with 506,316 votes, and Rixi Moncada from the ruling party and Refoundation Libre Party with 255,972 votes.
Resultados preliminares.
The preliminary results for the presidential election are as follows. Candidate for the Christian Democratic Party of Honduras, 2,152 votes. Candidate for the Liberty and Refoundation Party, Libre, 255,972 votes. Candidate for the Innovation and Social Democratic Unity Party, 10,698 votes. Candidate for the Liberal Party of Honduras, 506,316 votes. Candidate for the National Party of Honduras, 530,073 votes.
And the presidential candidate for the Liberty and Refoundation Party, Libre, Rixi Moncada, posted her reaction to the results published by the National Electoral Council, CNE. In her X account, Moncada stated, "I am grateful for the Libre Party and our people who overwhelmingly voted for my proposal for economic and democratic reform. I urge you to remain steadfast in your struggle until we obtain the final result with 100% of the presidential, mayoral and congressional ballots counted." She also added, "Tomorrow at a press conference I will announce my political position regarding the presidential results published by the National Electoral Council." Meanwhile, Honduran Foreign Minister Enrique Reina reiterated his allegations this Sunday about irregularities in the preliminary election results transmission system. Through his account on the social network X, he pointed out, "We warned about these days ago, and Consett said it in his 26 audio messages. The TRUP's plan is to give selected results in which Rixi Moncada does not win. We must wait for the results of all the minutes. Let's not forget the media manipulation of the frauds in 2013 and 2017. Together we will win. Only victory always. And in this regard, Andrés Ochoa, a member of the National Electoral Council, warned about persistent vulnerabilities in the results transmission system. In a statement, he said, "The vulnerabilities of the TRUP system observed in the November 9th drill persist. In the last few hours, there have been 3 failed system tests. Audits indicate that satellite antennas can be deactivated without leaving a trace. There are audio recordings that mention the reduction of power in specific antennas, which technical reports confirm as possible. And there have been recent failures in the telephone network. The Honduran people deserve to know the truth, and it is my duty to inform them. In view of this, I remind citizens that the 9 p.m. announcement has no legal effect and that the general account must be carried out with the processing of the 19,167 minutes." And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. This Monday, December 1st, general elections are underway in St. Lucia, where more than 179,000 people are expected to vote. Our correspondent, Belén de los Santos, brings us more details.
Hello, Ale. Exactly as you were saying, we're here in St. Lucia. We're in Castries East, the eastern part of the capital, and the polling is underway at this moment. Polling stations have been open since 6:30 a.m. local time. It's 8:45 at this moment, so the polls have been open for over 2 hours. Let's recall that this is the general elections, called a little bit early actually by Prime Minister Philippe. He's seeking to renew his mandate for the St. Lucia Labour Party, and he called for these elections. And this early call can be explained a little bit by his confidence, the confidence that the party has in the possibility of renewing based on the achievements that they have conquered during this past years. Let's recall the mandate started in 2021, right after COVID, and the main topics, the main goals were the stabilization after that, with a program focused on social measures. One of the most prominent of them, for example, was the establishment of a national minimum wage. That national unification was one of the first for St. Lucia. Along with that, several plans, for example, to boost youth jobs creations as well. So those were some of the measures. Now the SLP is now leading with the opposition, that is the United Workers' Party, led by Alain Chastanet. He actually was Prime Minister right before Prime Minister Philippe here in St. Lucia. And some of the main characteristics of that government was a right-wing government that focused solely and primarily on the private sector in order to try to boost the economy. That Prime Minister ended his mandate in 2021 with a landslide victory. And as we were saying, the SLP is trying at this moment to revalidate for 5 more years. Let's recall 17 constituencies that are fighting vote to vote in order to obtain that majority. Whoever gets the majority of the 17 will elect the Prime Minister. And actually, this, where we are right now, Castries East is the constituency where the Prime Minister is candidate himself. So that is one of the local facts to take into account. We will have more on this election, but for now I leave you with a little bit of what we were seeing yesterday on the day before the election. So Ale, that is all for now. You can see the package and we'll come back with contact in future news briefs. St. Lucia gears up for a new electoral process. Over 179,000 residents of this Caribbean island are registered to participate in the general elections of December 1st. The St. Lucia Labour Party, led by Philippe Pierre, seeks to revalidate its government against the main right-wing opposition party, led by Alan Chastanet, defeated in the last election.
So that is why this election is critical. Are people satisfied enough to continue with the policies that this government has, or are they going to go back based on very wild promises that the opposition party has made?
Since its landslide victory in 2021, the Philippe Pierre government has driven economic recovery after COVID through high-impact social measures, such as implementing a national minimum wage.
That our country has improved. Our country has had 4 years of economic growth. Our employment is the lowest ever, reaching below 10% for the first time in our country's history. We're very satisfied with the work we've done for the last 4.5 years, and we are confident that the people of St. Lucia will re-elect us tomorrow.
The atmosphere on the streets is electric, with caravans parading through the city center and furling party colors.
Very excited. We're red and we're ready. The mood is red. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I believe UW will make it, the victory. I'm very happy about that.
There's no stopping us. The mood is red.
Like this, with feelings running high, St. Lucia waits for an outcome that will shape the years to come. Marcos da Silva, Belén de los Santos, from St. Lucia for teleSUR English.
We move on to other topics. The United States Congress announced the start of an investigation into the deployment ordered by President Donald Trump since last September in the Caribbean under the pretext of combating drug trafficking. This was reported by the House Armed Services Committee in a statement in which it said that they take seriously reports of subsequent attacks on ships allegedly transporting narcotics in the Southern Command region. It added that steps are being taken to compile a full report on the operation. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate says it is aware of recent news reports and will begin rigorous oversight to determine the facts related to these circumstances. And in this context, U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed on Sunday he held a phone call with his Venezuelan counterpart, Nicolás Maduro.
Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
And can you tell us a little bit
No,
about
I can't do that.
Mr. Would you say it went well?
I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call, yeah.
And now we go to Venezuela. The National Assembly announced that it will propose the creation of a commission to investigate the killings of Venezuelans in the Caribbean by the U.S. military. Parliament President Jorge Rodriguez called an extraordinary meeting for Monday to approve the proposal for the creation of the special commission and denounced the silence by the international community in relation to Washington's crimes. At the same time, Rodriguez called the U.S. actions murders, arguing they cannot be considered war crimes in the absence of a declared armed conflict. Rodriguez also denounced that families of the victims have been threatened to keep them from denouncing publicly what had happened with their loved ones. The diplomatic dispute over the Ukrainian conflict entered a new phase after statements by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who asserted that Europe has removed itself from the negotiations. The head of the Russian diplomacy argued that European governments had undermined previous agreements, including Minsk in 2014 and 2015. As a result, they had lost influence in the current negotiations. Moscow sees any future instance as depending on the US and Russia's understanding, while Ukraine is experiencing extreme internal instability. Lavrov says Merkel's recent statements show the European Union is an interested party in a long-standing conflict, not a guarantor. For Russia, this makes the European Union an unreliable peace mediator. And now we have a second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on our most recent events. Final short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. Turkey's Minister of Foreign Affairs Hakan Fidan stated on Sunday that his country's goal is to work towards lifting the sanctions imposed on Iran within the framework of international law. During a joint press conference with his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi, Fidan reiterated that Ankara has consistently supported Iran in the nuclear negotiations and expressed his government's willingness to contribute in every way possible to advance this process. The Turkish Foreign Minister emphasized that the sanctions imposed on Iran for years are unfair, while Tehran is seeking their lifting in exchange for limiting certain nuclear activities without renouncing its right to the peaceful use of atomic energy. And now we go to the United Kingdom. Thousands of people took to the streets of London to protest against the genocide in the Gaza Strip. This demonstration coincides with the International Day of Solidarity with Palestine and is the 33rd national mobilization since October 2023. According to the organizers, the main objective of this march was to demand an end to the occupation of the Palestinian enclave and the cessation of arms sales to the Israeli army. In this regard, the marchers also criticized the British government's support for the Tel Aviv regime and demanded the breaking of diplomatic relations with Benjamin Netanyahu's government. And meanwhile, in Yemen, hundreds of citizens gathered in Sana'a to celebrate the 58th anniversary of independence. The mobilization was a day marked by slogans of resistance and rejection of any form of foreign occupation. At the close of the event, a statement was issued underlining the determination of the Yemeni people to face any future challenge, whether military, security, or social. In this context, the statement reiterates its support for the Palestinian and Lebanese causes, while recalling that the commemoration of November 30th symbolizes that all forms of occupation are destined to disappear. The death toll from recent floods and landslides in 3 provinces of the island of Sumatra, Indonesia, rose to 442 victims on Sunday. The information was provided by the National Disaster Management Agency, detailing that North Sumatra has been the most affected, with 217 confirmed deaths and 209 people still missing. On the other hand, the province of Aceh reports 96 dead and 75 missing, while West Sumatra has 129 dead and 118 missing. In response to this crisis, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto ordered the mobilization of all national resources to speed up the emergency response. And given the magnitude of the emergency, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto personally traveled to the areas most devastated by the floods to supervise rescue efforts on site and offer direct support to families. This strategy has already affected more than 1 million people, leaving nearly 290,000 displaced. In this scenario, civil organizations and authorities are insisting on the urgency of declaring a state of national emergency to speed up the arrival of aid and guarantee essential resources for the population. And after these informations, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.